What up, people? It's Birds of a Feather, A2D Radio. We are live from the Real Talk Studios. First half brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com and Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. I am back. It feels like forever since I have been here. I almost didn't get through the live reads right, and I had to make sure I was focused in extra. I mean, I messed them up usually too, but I had to be extra focused in to make sure I don't stumble. But yeah, I'm back. Oh my gosh,
he's about an hour early, isn't he?
He's an hour early. Looks like I might have to let Mr. Softy. If you guys probably don't hear it, you guys at home, but Mr. Softy is passing by now. But I guess no Mr. Softy tonight. Dang, that sucks. Oh well.
You brought back some water.
I did from Fiji, guys. Like I said, I brought back from Fiji water. I'm just kidding. It's not from Fiji. It's ridiculous though, because not to go on a tangent 2 minutes into the show, but you know how the upcharge here for Fiji water is it's usually more expensive. Over there it's like a regular bottle price. It's so crazy how cheap it is over there, and it's so good. But anyway, it was great. It is great to be back, guys. I do appreciate everyone that offered their well wishes and congrats during my wedding and my honeymoon. It really means a lot. It was, we had a blast. It was an unforgettable time. Definitely the best day of my life, and a trip, out to Fiji I'll never forget. And I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, whoever did. And it is good to be back in the swing of things right before football season, just in time. I missed a little bit, but hopefully not too much. I caught up with. I kept in touch with all the major news that was going on still, but all the little things I might have missed. But I've been doing my best to try to catch up with every little detail that I might have missed out on. But it is great to be back. I will get back to my regular content that I have here at A2D. I appreciate everyone reaching out again. But thanks to you guys holding it down. Of course, Chrome's not here. We're playing host tag once again. I go and then he comes and then whatnot.
Yeah, it seems
vice
like
versa.
it's been about 2 months now.
Yeah,
right?
since me
We
and
had
him
the whole
have been in the studio together. But it'll happen. It'll eventually. We'll see each other again in the studio. But Kevin, how you been, man?
I've been good. Just living the dream, not dreaming in Fiji. But
Good. I'm glad. And then Mr. Brodo on the ones and twos. What's going on, right?
Mr. Chucks, I will probably be the 5 millionth person to say it, but once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
And it looks like when you talk about, you may have missed some things with the Eagles, it looks like you're back at the proper time.
Yes.
It's a certain news story. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point.
We'll probably
tonight.
get to it. And I think you said before the show you're predicting that it'll break.
I have a feeling
tonight as we're on the air, which would be great, which would be absolutely phenomenal. So we'll see. But what we do have to talk about tonight is, first, we'll be recapping the Eagles and Ravens preseason Week 3 game. A little bit to take off of out of that. I did watch the condensed version of it on Game Pass, so I caught up on the game, and so I have a few takes here and there, but a lot of people have a lot to say about JJ Arcega-Whiteside. A lot to say about that, so we'll talk about that. We'll also, of course, talk about the huge news from this past weekend, Andrew Luck and his sudden retirement. We will discuss that. I know some people are probably already talking about it because it's been discussed ad nauseum, but we haven't talked about it yet, so we have to talk about it.
of course.
Of course we do.
Of course.
Everybody needs our insight. We'll also discuss the latest injuries, specifically Lamar Miller season-ending injury, what that means for the Texans' backfield, which is already very shallow, what that means for them, and then, who knows, no huddle, random topics here and there. I might spew out some fantasy stuff because I know you guys talked about fantasy last few weeks, so I got to put my 2 cents in there. With everyone's drafts going on, so
That's a big week for you.
it's
There's a lot
huge.
coming up.
Yeah, a lot going on. So we got that. So let's dive into it. The poll question for tonight, brought to you by Scanzano Sports, if I can bring it up, is here you go. JJ Arcega-Whiteside will score at least 6 touchdowns in 2019. So let's go. Kevin, I know you're a Patriots fan. I don't know how much you know about JJ Arcega-Whiteside. It's Arcega. It's going to take a while to get used to it. It's Arcega technically. That is the correct pronunciation. It's Arcega. But you know JJAW. I don't know how much you know about him, but after seeing some of his impressive outing in week 3, his 100+ yards and touchdown, which his touchdown was very impressive. That was a beauty of a touchdown. What are your impressions? Do you think he will be able to score at least 6?
So I was definitely impressed last week. And both weeks prior, the little you said he got in there. I think he's going to be great for the Eagles. I think he's a perfect addition, especially being a young guy in an aging core. As you're watching guys leave and go on, especially bringing back in veterans like Djax. But I have to disagree with the poll. Although I think he will do well, I can't guarantee 6 touchdowns only because of how deep the team is.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 2 running backs that are both, red zone threats on, sweeps and screens, stuff like that. Then you've got 2 tight ends, which are going to cut you across the middle, and then obviously your corner guys with Djax and Aguilar if he makes the team, or doesn't get traded, I should say. He'll make the team either way prior to that. But with that being said, having that many options out there for Wentz to play with, I don't know, as a younger guy, how much you'll actually see as a full-time deep ball type guy to get 6 touchdowns.
Yeah. That's a valid argument because that's the thing. Like, he's got talent, and if you've scouted or at least read scouting reports on him, you know that where he excels is the red zone. He's a jump ball guy. 50-50 balls aren't 50-50 balls with him. They're more like 80-20. And I'll get more into the other aspects of his game in a little bit, but the thing that's holding him back is he's technically like the 4th guy on the depth chart. So with the Eagles trying to push for, or at least it's presumed that they're trying to push for more 12 personnel and trying to get Dallas Goedert, who I know you love, more involved as a regular in the offense. Where are the opportunities going to come, for him to do it? And when I was making up the poll question, I was trying to figure out, okay, what's like a good line to put at for his touchdowns, and I originally had it at 8, but I was like, that's high. So let me go at 6. I personally, I'm going to agree because I'm going to put it right at 6. I think that's what he gets is 6. I said it before. I think I said it a few weeks ago. Before I left, is that my prediction, my output is 6 touchdowns for him. He might not get a lot of yardage, but I think as the season goes on, he's going to be used more and more in the red zone packages. He's going to be, because besides Alshon, Deshaun and Nelson, they're more like finesse guys and they're smaller guys. If you're going to do 12 personnel in the red zone, ideally you would like to have Ertz, Goddard, Jeffrey, and then JJAW. So I think later on in the season, once he can show that they can trust him, to a decent amount, he might be specifically a red zone specialist. But maybe that's enough to get him 6. Who knows? I mean, I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm not saying book it, place a bet on 6. That's just my prediction. I think right around 6 is a decent number. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, you brought up Goddard, which I put Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, and JJAW all in the same category as the 1A, 1B type guys.
Mm-hmm.
That they're, obviously not being the number 1 receiver in JJAW, but the number 1 slot utility type guy fighting for the 4th spot there. But because they do so well and they've been projected to do really well in the team, but the next guy up, you have a good issue to have, is the next guy up is probably the best in their categories. You can put Ertz as, if not 1, maybe 2 best tight ends in the league. You put Howard as the top 10 running back in the league.
It's a top 15, top 20, something like that. I want to put top 10.
I think he could finish top 10 if used correctly.
If you're going by numbers, are you going by like just numbers? Because I don't use numbers to go by rankings, but if you
could be, I'm saying could be by the end of the season, top 10 guy. Especially with a lot of the other issues going on in the league, you don't know if Melvin Gordon, guys like that, are holding out, but he could be a potential top 10 type guy. So to have a younger rookie behind him is going to be tough to get any touches, get a lot of that red zone feel, knowing what you got ahead of him.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason why you're going to see less out of JJAW is because of your depth.
Yeah, and that's the thing that makes that's one of the reasons that the Eagles are so highly regarded right now as a Super Bowl contender is because of that depth. So where the depth is a strength team-wise, if you're looking at individually, that's what's going to hurt JJAW in his rookie year. And so, but it's all about winning. And I think that as long as, I don't think even JJAW would complain himself, as long as he's helping the team win in any way, I don't think he's the type of guy to complain about like touches, especially in his rookie year. And people need to remember, wide receivers, they usually traditionally take a few years to really develop. They're not running backs. It's different. And so that's where a lot of people are so eager to say, oh, we can trade Nelson now because we have JJAW. That's so idiotic to me because just because you think and assume that JJAW will be ready his rookie season when he hasn't even played it down yet in a regular season game, that all of a sudden makes Nelson expendable? No. And I've been saying like this whole week since I've been back, like it's silly because last year for the Eagles, going into the week 1, the concern was depth at wide receiver. We had like no one. We were relying on, by week 3, we had to sign Jordan Matthews to be our like second or third wide receiver. So we know it wasn't that long ago when we had depth concerns at wide receiver, and now we have depth, and all of a sudden people want to get rid of depth. It's the typical like silly Eagles fan kind of mindset is, oh, like this guy's expendable because we have this guy who's not even proven yet. Like, calm down. I'm as excited about as anyone when it comes to JJAW, and I have the video reaction to prove it. You know, after the draft, I have video of myself freaking out about us drafting him. But let's pump the brakes a lot, all right? Because Nelson's doesn't become expendable just because of JJAW right now. And I'm not opposed to trading Nelson, but it has to be the right deal. And I'm in no rush, unlike my co-host who's not here right now, Chrome, who's very eager to get rid of Nelson like yesterday, and some other people in the group. I am no rush at all to trade Nelson unless if it's like a no-brainer type of deal. So that's my input. Broda, what do you poll question or any input in terms of Nelson or whatever?
Well, with the poll question, you know how I feel about Mr. Arcega-Whiteside. I do agree with the points that, he's not going to get a lot of volume. He's not going to be getting, a lot of chances, I should say, to have a lot of touchdowns. But what I do agree with and what we've been talking about a lot is that he is going to be the main threat. Not the main threat as far as he's going to be the main threat, instead of Alshon or Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert. But his main role in his first year, I would imagine, would be in the red zone, which would equate to what? Touchdowns. So I think that number, while we don't see a lot of him in the regular season, or at least in his first season, I think the number of 6 is fair, honestly. Because you look at, okay, how many times in just one game on average is a team in the red zone? Number 2, look at this offense. Number 3, look at the options that this offense has. So I do think it's going to be around 6. And I would not be surprised, and I almost would expect it. I get it. It's a rookie. It's a wide receiver. When you put those two together, rookie and wide receiver, you don't get a lot of results immediately. I think that number's really, really fair. And then to your point of, people wanting to trade Nelson because you have Arcega-Whiteside, well, Chucks, I'll go one step above it. There was rumors, or quote-unquote rumors and reports coming out earlier in the week, or it was late last week, that not only Nelson Aguilar was a possible option to be traded, Alshon Jeffrey was. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, this is a fake account. And it turned out it was not a fake account. And people were supporting it. It makes zero sense to me. I understand he dropped the pass. Trust me, we understand he dropped the pass against the Saints in a certain playoff game. I understand that. You don't trade Alshon Jeffrey right now. And I love JJ Arcega-Whiteside. It's not the time. It's not the time. Okay? When you have the best opportunity, maybe in the entire conference, to go to a Super Bowl and win another one, no. Let's not do that. Let's not do that right now.
Let me rewind the clock. Hold on real quick. Sorry. Let me rewind the clock. 2015. Preseason. Week 1. We had just drafted Nelson Aguilar. And he was projected and hyped up to be the replacement for Jeremy Maclin, who had just come off a career year but left in free agency for the Chiefs. And week 1 against the Colts at the Link, Nelson had a touchdown where he adjusted to a missed thrown ball in the flat, went up and grabbed it, turned around, and scampered, I forget how many yards, but scampered up the field past the whole Colts defense for the touchdown. Everyone was raving, Nelson's going to be great. He's going to make us forget about Maclin. The kid's the real deal. What happened? It took 2 years of horrid play from Nelson because, 1, he had a bad coach, and 2, he couldn't get out of his own head, where he was just, his talent wasn't letting his talent show. He was way too much in his head, had focus issues and all that. He had 2 horrid seasons. And people forget that. Eagles fans forget that sometimes what you see in the preseason isn't accurate to what you see in the regular season. And so, we need to really calm down and just let it happen. We have depth at wide receiver, much needed. Let's not trade it away, okay? Let's not trade it away. Carson needs his weapons. Let's hold on to Nelson. And halfway through the regular season, if JJAW starts to really develop and really show that he can handle being on the field with Deshaun and Alshon, and the wide receivers are healthy, and maybe even Mac Hollins is contributing here and there, then okay, maybe at the trade deadline, then you can make maybe you can start to look for offers, entertain more offers for Nelson, because then maybe at that point, because you know more of what you have, then Nelson becomes a little bit more expendable, maybe. So, but not right now. The season hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, for me, that's all. The other key is you bring back in Deshaun Jackson, who already has a chemistry built up with Wentz, and you've got Alshon Jeffrey, who Wentz is also already favored on top of Ertz. So it takes time to build not only the skill level, but the confidence in your quarterback to make certain throws. And without Wentz playing in this preseason, granted, JJ looked great, but it was with McCown.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get when you throw in Wentz.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a knock on either one of them. It's just certain quarterbacks like certain receivers.
Certain type of throws, yeah.
I don't necessarily, tying it back to the Patriots, there was a preseason camp where Brady threw the ball before N'Keal Harry even turned around, the ball was in his hand already. And then the same thing happened. Jacoby Meyer comes out and drops 3 passes. It was neither a bad pass nor a bad route. It was just timing on where on the top of the route is the ball going to be.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't know what you got with JJ because he hasn't played with Wentz yet as far as full speed game time goes. And the other thing you got to look at is because they have certain depth in deep balls now, like they didn't have last year, and having 2 targets deep, is where do you really see your red zone at? Because I see them only being in the red zone for short period, 10, 15 yards. I think they're going to stretch the field enough to where it's not going to be big. You're not going to be in the red zone as much as you think. Everything is going to be run play.
So you think as opposed to before where it was chunk play, right, march down the field, you think this offense will have more big plays this season, meaning the amount of red zone opportunities isn't going to be as much,
right,
because of the big plays.
Right.
Okay, no, that's I'm not going to argue against that. Like, I would love big plays. That's something the offense was missing for a good while last year. So I get that.
Well, you figure now you get back, you get back two running backs that are going to open up your pass game. It's going to allow you to get the ball down to guys like Deshaun Jackson, who's opposite now of Jeffrey, so they can both go deep if need be. So when you're on that, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5, and people are expecting you to just pick up the first, you can throw it deep, and then you're down on the goal line.
Yeah.
So I don't see them needing as much red zone offense as of last year. I think it's going to be a lot of shorter distance type stuff. So if you bring in a guy like JJAW, granted he is a red zone type guy, but how many opportunities down there is he actually going to get?
Yeah.
With the big ball.
No, yeah, that's a good argument. It's a good point. Didn't think of that. More big plays, less red zone opportunities in total, unless if the offense just never punts. So
Right.
if we score every drive, we'll have enough for both. But I get what you're saying. Let's go to Facebook. Let's see what the chat's doing. Chrome chimes in. He says, "Yo, fellas, season is close. I think JJ will be a beast in the red zone. Absolutely." Chrome, you didn't really answer the poll question, technically. Mark Keller, our boy Mark, says, "Bum ass Pats blower." That's your brother-in-law.
Yeah, I deal with that every week, every day, really.
Our resident Jaguars fan, Clay, chimes in and says, Duval. And then Kyle Mayer says, "What's up, guys? I 1,000% agree with the poll. JJ will be a monster. Have a great show." And then Clay says, "Welcome back, Chucks, and congrats." Thank you, Clay. Mike Klinkoff says, "What's good, my boys? Hard to say if he will have 6. Might be a steep number for the rookie. It's possible, but I don't know about this year." And that's totally fair. Vespi says, "Hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. Welcome back and congrats, Chucks." Thank you, Vespi. Appreciate it. To answer the poll, I'm stuck on the fence on this one. Typical Vespi answer, but I'll go with agree. He will get around 6 touchdowns for the year. Most of them will be from the red zone. Now I'm craving some Fiji water. Nice. So Vespi pretty much agrees with me. I think it's right around 6. Clay says JJ doesn't get 6 only because of all the other weapons. Tom says, "My guys." Chucks, welcome back, Dad. Congratulations, brother. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. It is great to be back. Lubman says, "Welcome back, sir." Appreciate it, Rob. Clay says, "Never trade depth for a defensive end that hasn't lived up to his draft slot." Well, let's just say this. Let's be fair. And Clay is a Jags fan. So he's going to be a little bit biased.
I understand.
Even though he is right in saying that Clowney hasn't lived up to his draft slot. It's hard to argue against that, but that doesn't remove the fact that Clowney is still a very good player.
Oh, he's very
so
good.
He's very
but we
good.
need to be responsible.
Yes, we need to be responsible. More about that later.
Yes.
Clay also says JJAW is currently the number 6 receiving target, not counting backs.
It's very true.
It's very true. It is very true.
With that being said, I think he gets 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With that being said, I still think he gets 6.
Andy Ritter says Chucks is back.
This interaction is good. You're going to want to read all.
Not in the right chair, but he's back. Welcome back, old friend. Thank you, Andy. And then HUD says, "What's up, Andy? Very true. Here I am." Well, is that the right order?
So what happened was, he has a proposal for one of us. Okay.
Okay.
First off, he was trying to find a nickname for me. It's fine, Andy. We'll talk later about that.
It's the bro.
Yeah, he said the dude. I didn't want to be like, "Whoa, it's the bro," because then we do this whole thing again. I
That
figured
is
it
your
was Yeah.
self-proclaimed
Unfortunate.
nickname.
It's not self-proclaimed. If it was, I would have commented. But anyway, more on that later. He says, "Wait, what crummy jersey is Kevin wearing today?" I said, some Patriots jersey, whatever. Then he had an offer. He said to me first, "I'll Venmo you $20 right now, Brodo, if you rip that off of him on camera and light it on fire." And I said, that is tempting. That is tempting. And then he followed that up by saying, $25 final offer. If you won't, I'm sure Chucks will. He just got back from his honeymoon, and that man is broke. So listen, the offer's on the table from Andy.
Oh my gosh.
I'd worry if I were you.
I will hold
don't
off for
understand.
now, but if I start craving ice cream and start wanting to run after the ice cream man, Mr. Softy, might have to take that offer. Let's see. Greg says, "Look who's back again." Chuck's is back. Tell a friend. What song is that?
Are you serious?
I'm kidding.
I was
Of course I'm
we
kidding.
talked about
I'm being
references earlier.
sarcastic. Yeah, talking about references.
Yeah.
He says, "What's up, fellas? I agree with the poll. I know there's some big numbers being thrown out there, but I think 6 is right around perfect." Yeah, I agree. I think it's around 6. And then I get to that conversation, that back and forth. I see that.
We've got a lot on YouTube,
Yeah,
too.
go
if you want
ahead,
to jump
yeah.
over there. Ooh,
Yeah.
Ooh, is that out? Is that out?
No.
Okay. So we start off with Todd Womack saying, Philly Dilly, guys. What's going on, Todd?
Todd.
And then, Kevin, you'll find comfort in knowing this. It's probably something you know. It might. Wait, it's you.
No, it's not me.
Is
I'm
it
not
you,
on
that
YouTube.
grin that you made?
I'm not on YouTube. I was hoping you were bringing another Pats fan over
Well,
here.
so Patriots fan 12,
Nice.
new person to the stream, says, nice Gronk jersey. Is that
Thank you.
indeed a Gronk jersey?
That is indeed a Rob
87.
Gronkowski jersey.
And then Sixer JT chimes in, and Chucks, you'll know this. Sixer JT is early tonight. He usually chimes in
I know,
in
yeah.
in the last like 2
Yeah.
seconds
Well,
of
I'm
the show.
glad you're here. I'm back, and he's in early. That's good.
So he was a bit confused at first. He said, "What's up, Fix?" And he said, "Oh wait, birds of a feather." So he's a day early.
He's a day early.
Spike 23 Eagles said, "If we trade Big V, bring back Warmack." I don't know about. I mean, Warmack stinks.
No.
Warmack
No,
stinks.
no.
JT said, "Did you guys hear the Sudfeld to Indianapolis Colts rumors? Would you guys be willing to move him? And if so, what in return?"
Sure.
You have a
We have McCown.
do you have a proposal?
I mean, I'd get rid of them for. I mean, they like Brissett, but I'm guessing Sudfeld will come in as a backup, like 2 Brissett.
Mm-hmm. I'd do it for a 4th.
Yeah, 4th. I do it for 4th.
I
Hey,
did-
if it could, I'll do a conditional 5th that can become a 4th. I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Whatever, yeah.
I'll do that.
I did hear the rumors, and I say no, thank you. I think that I think you have to wait a little bit. I think
If
that
you're
you
the
could,
Colts,
no, if you're the Eagles, I think you can walk yourself into a Jimmy G situation where he shows enough flashes where he can go to another team and be a outright starter.
he can't
Yeah.
Why not?
because
Yeah.
his contract ends after the season, and he's injured.
Here's the
So
thing
wait.
too. When is he going to show some stuff? 'Cause I
That's
don't
the
plan on
point.
him ever getting on the field.
That's the point. Like he's
Ever.
not gonna. I mean, if the only way he shows some stuff at this point is, and that's why his injury was such a big deal because like that sucks for him. He's not
Mhm.
gonna have preseason time anymore to raise his stock because the only other time he's gonna get in there, well, before the McCown signing was if Wentz got hurt. Now we're not hoping Wentz will get hurt or not assuming Wentz will get hurt. And then even if he does, knock on wood, McCown's going to be the backup
Yeah,
most
I'm not-
likely. So
I'm not saying this year. I'm
But
not saying
he's-
this year, but down the road, I say he stays in Philly for a little bit.
I don't think
I don't think he moves
I think he
this
will.
soon.
I think he will. I think that he knows that there's no chance to compete for a starting job. He's going to have to go to another team that's in need of a quarterback and compete with another backup. That'll be his route, and I think that's why he leaves. I don't think he leaves Philly. I don't think he stays in Philly beyond this year.
No, I agree. And I think the organization, like, listen, we know the organization obviously loves Sudfeld because of the way they've treated him, the way they've given him roster spots, and they've had him as a healthy scratch.
And developed him, yeah.
And also the way that they didn't go after any veteran, backup quarterbacks this offseason when we had plenty of option to do so. If it was,
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater, Fitzpatrick, Tannehill, whatever, even the lower level guys like a Tyrod Taylor, like there was not even talks about any of that happening.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, listen, I mean, the backup quarterback position is the backup quarterback position, and I think the Eagles, even though they like him and they might love him, like we really don't know. Obviously, they've talked him up a lot over the last handful of years. If there's a 4th-round pick or, to Chuck's point, even a conditional 5th for a guy that at the end of the day we hope never, ever, ever
Has to
gets
play.
on the field,
Yeah.
you take that and run.
Yeah.
You
see,
take that and run.
Yeah.
Here's my issue, and I guess I should have prefaced my first comment by saying this, but if you guys remember back to my bold prediction, I think that Stidham makes the second quarterback spot in New England,
Mm-hmm.
which they will either try to trade or release Hoyer, and I think he goes to the Colts.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. I had said
Okay.
to my dad the other day, when all this news came out, I said what I would do, and the Colts may have done this. the first team I'm calling is San Diego, because their backup quarterback is Tyrod Taylor.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like Tyrod Taylor's Tyrod Taylor. He's not great, but he also led a Buffalo Bills team that stunk into the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, if they come calling for Nate Sudfeld and they're not offering, a conditional seventh, if they're offering anything with value, I'm doing that, honestly. Because if Wentz goes down this year, the season's done no matter what. If it's McCown, if it's Sudfeld, if it's freaking Clayton Thorson. I don't even know his name because he sucks.
Yeah. I agree.
The other thing, YouTube's going crazy over here. A lot of congrats to you, Chucks.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Zill Jones says, "What's up, fellas?" On the Sudfeld thing, by the way, JT did say, not familiar with the Colts secondary, but I would take a corner and a late round pick in the draft for him. See, I don't think they would offer. Well, why would we need a corner though? Yeah, I don't want another cornerback.
What I was gonna say earlier is the fact that if there is one position on this team that does have a guy who's expendable because there's too much depth, it's corner.
Mm-hmm.
And even so, like Mills is still hurt.
That was an unbelievable catch by that pitcher.
Oh, jeez. Mills is hurt and probably will be on the PUP to start the season. And LeBlanc is hurt, will probably be, if not on the PUP, he's going to be inactive. So even with that, like we're down to 4 corners. I'm not sure if you want to risk it and trade someone and be at 3 corners throughout the season, knowing that you're out. You're down to 3 corners for the first.
No, I think he was
weeks,
saying
so.
he would trade for one. We wouldn't trade one. We would trade
no,
for
but yeah. You know what I'm saying is that like
he's saying
I
why.
get it, but the thing is, we
I
still
got
have a lot of corners on the team.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So,
North Dakota Mama says, "Welcome back, Chucks, and congratulations to
Thank
you and
you.
your bride. Good evening, fellas. What's going on, North Dakota Mama?
What's up?
JT said, "Is Mike Wallace still on the roster? Is he anywhere?"
No, he's not signed.
Hey, I mean the Texans, they need receivers.
They need a lot.
They need everything. Todd Womack says, "Thank you, Chucks. We put together a juggernaut, and everyone wants to answer the Texans' ransom for Clowney. Really, he's not worth it. Let's let this team play and see what happens." Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like, would we love? We all would agree. You with the Patriots, us with the Eagles. We would all love to have him. But like we talked about in the first 5 minutes, it's about being responsible. It's about making sure, again, because this guy is not only on a rental, but we would have to pay him, and he wants a lot of money. Got to be responsible with it. Howie Roseman, I trust him, but we're not going to be like, oh, take everything and here's some more for a guy that, yeah, we would probably need and we would like to have, but it's like, come on now.
And something that made me laugh was like someone on the group last night, the ATD group, if you're not in there, get in there, was like, it's funny how some of these people don't still doubt Howie and don't think he can get this done. What does doubting Howie have to do with thinking this trade is not a good trade? It's not that we doubt Howie. Like, I feel like people believe that since Howie is so good at making trades and does it a lot, that means that everyone is on the table and we should trade for everyone.
Exactly.
Like, no, it doesn't. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna, people. And I know there was the rumor that Clowney is interested in the Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, it was also reported that AB was interested in the Eagles. We didn't trade for AB, and as you can see, thank God we didn't. Yeah. So it's not like people have to realize that it's just because Howie can doesn't mean Howie will.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about prior to the show going on was the need versus want. The Patriots were actually looking into Clowney as well to play opposite of Bennett. With their depth at now their depth at receiver, getting Gordon back, and their depth at running back, with Michelle and Damian Harris as a rookie. We don't really need him. So why go out there and make yourself short in another position just to have a nice piece of your defense? Whereas both teams, or many teams around the league, any spot that you give away now is going to be a spot that you've bolstered up because you've had issues in the past.
Yeah.
It's you're going to put yourself in a situation. Okay, is it nice to have? Yes, of course. We all know what he can do, especially playing opposite of a guy that's already proven. To make both sides, pretty much unstoppable. But it's where can you afford to put a new hole? Because there's going to be no matter what.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. I don't see anything else. I do see that Todd says congrats to me, so thank you. Appreciate that, Todd. Nothing else going on in chat. Oh, Clay does say Clowney would honestly be a backup on the Jags, and that might be true. But again, I get what you're saying, Clay. But at the same time, doesn't take away the fact that Clowney is a very good player still. He's still a very good player, but I get what you're saying.
Dan, did you see Dan's comment?
No.
So Dan says, "What's the point of the Dolphins trading for Clowney? Where do they honestly think they're going?" Especially for a guy who has said, reportedly he doesn't want to be there long term.
Yeah,
it's a great point, Dan.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, Clowney did say he wants to go either Seahawks or the Eagles. Honestly, the Seahawks would be a very good fit because they are in need of a pass rusher with the one guy getting suspended. I forget who it was. But they are in need of a pass rusher. So that would be a good fit. I would like to see that. That would be good.
Reed Dion has a great question.
The very last comment he made.
Where it says, let's say the Eagles.
Let's say the Eagles do make a move for Clowney. 1, what will be the rotation? And 2, who loses a roster spot? So the rotation, Clowney will obviously, he's going to be the third guy. All right, that's honestly what, I could be wrong, but I don't see him taking a starting spot over Graham, who knows the defense, and they are high on Barnett. I don't see him overtaking Barnett. Now, that being said, before anyone jumps out at me, I think he might not be starting over them, but I think it'll be a very even rotation.
Exactly. I
think it'll be they'll be first in there, but then they'll quickly get Clowney his reps, and Clowney can kind of move along the line. You can in what people like to call the NASCAR package before, where you put 3 defensive ends and 1 defensive tackle. Clowney can move inside, and so can Graham. Graham was technically playing 3 technique in the Super Bowl fumble, right? You remember, right, Kevin? Do you remember in the Super Bowl?
Kev, you watched that game.
You watched that game, right? He was playing 3 tech.
Yeah.
He was playing inside.
I think I remember something like that.
Yeah, he was playing.
Who won that game again?
I'm not sure. You're gonna have to refresh my memory.
We'll go back and watch it.
We'll watch it.
Yeah,
We'll watch it.
Yeah, it's fine.
But they can Clowney and Graham. They're both movable pieces. So in certain packages on third down, you can play all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of who loses a spot,
That's a great question.
it's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that obviously Curry is going unless he's fallen off a cliff. And again, I didn't watch the first 2 weeks. So I don't know how Curry has been if he's played.
He hasn't played a lot, but apparently he's looked really good.
Good. Okay, so he's going to be that third. He's going to be the on the second unit.
Yes.
He's going to be on the second unit. It's going to be between Sweat and Hall. Now I know Hall, based on tweets that I've read on Twitter, that Hall has been very good, very very good.
He led the preseason in
sacks. So I know he's been very good. Sweat, I don't know, and I'm not going to go off of what. There's a lot of shade going on towards Sweat and the groups, so I'm not going to follow what the groups say. I have to watch the thing and see how he's going to be getting pressure. When I was watching the third preseason game and I just glanced over, there were some plays where I saw him get pretty good pressure. Now might not get sacks, but the thing is, I don't go off of just sacks, and that's the thing when you're talking about pass rushers. You have to go off of pressure, and you have to go off of how they play the run. Sweat, I saw he had some pretty good reps. But again, it's an incomplete study. I haven't seen all 3 preseason games. I got to watch more of him. I don't know how he's been playing. But it's between them. It really is between them.
I completely agree and understand when you say you need to go back and watch it. But in my opinion, and I get you invested, what was the 4th round pick on Josh Sweat last year.
But that's not even that. It's not even about the investment because 4th round is 4th round. I mean, you can get rid of 4th round after a year or 2 if they're not panning out. That's not, to me. It's not so much about that. It's more about when they drafted him, they knew the potential he had. Mm-hmm. He just had to 1, gain strength and 2, stay healthy.
Yeah. And
I know he had that minor knee thing last week or 2 weeks ago, but he's fine now. But I know he did tweak it. So I don't know if that is a factor in what the coach is saying or about him or whatnot. So I really don't know.
He has just been, in comparison to Hall, I mean, it's a rout. I mean, he's just been so compared to Hall, and the reason why I bring up, because I agree with you, like it really shouldn't matter if you used a 4th-round pick on a 5th round, or if he's an undrafted free agent. If he's good, he's good. If he's bad, he's bad.
Yeah.
But to me, and we kind of talked about this last week on AM and the PM, and tell me if you guys agree with it. And I'll use the example of Donnell Pumphrey, for example, because it's the easy one, it's the most recent one, of that this organization, one of the few faults I feel that this organization has fallen into is that they are too kind of committed to the wrong guys just because you used a draft pick on him. Like, for example, the Pumphrey thing's obvious that we saw game 1, game 2 of the first 2 preseason games that he played that he sucked. And then on top of it, he couldn't stay healthy, and then he fumbled the ball. And they keep bringing him back because they used a 4th-round pick on him.
Right.
And the reason why I bring up the whole Josh Sweat thing is, okay, in the moment, too, like I know you like the pick, but a lot of people around the league, around the city, didn't like that pick because it was the quote-unquote project pick, the Josh Sweat thing. So the only reason why I bring that up, it's because they're comparing, okay, say they evaluate Josh Sweat and Hall very closely. My opinion is that they would lean towards Sweat because they did use a 4th-round pick instead of the fact that Deshaun, Hall was just a guy that they picked up as an undrafted free agent. Really, you're not losing value from it.
Because it's a tiebreaker.
Yes.
You're talking about a tiebreaker.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and in that case, I do have to lean towards, like, if they're playing evenly in practice and in preseason, it's you go with what you invested in. That's just the tiebreaker. But if Hall really is outplaying Sweat, you go with Sweat. I don't care what pick you used. You go with the better player. Yeah. So and even though I was very high, and I know you said like a lot of people didn't like it because it's a project pick. I follow a lot of the scouting community on Twitter, and I'll tell you 90% of the people who will like scout college and people that I do follow whose minds I do trust, who are a lot smarter than me and a lot smarter than people I see on Facebook, they're all very high on Sweat. And he was a high risk, high reward pick. I said it then and I say it now. That's what Sweat is. It's a high risk, high reward, and it might take a year or two. Like his rookie year, I'm not surprised he barely didn't do anything because, again, he had to add muscle and he had to learn about how to use counter moves properly.
There's really no room for him either. Huh? There's no room for him.
Right now, especially if you trade for Clowney.
Well, I was talking last year, too.
Oh, yeah, last year,
there was
no
zero
room for him. There was no room for him. So, I mean, to me, if you ask me, I did like the Sweat pick over the Sharif Miller pick this year. I like Sweat as a prospect more than I like Miller. Mm-hmm. I think Miller's ceiling is a lot lower than Sweat's. But again, like it comes down to, is he a project? Yes, but I feel like the potential is there. But if you're gonna trade for Sweat, again back to his question, if you're gonna trade for Sweat, and you're asking who's gonna get that 4th spot, if they're only gonna keep four edge players, that is the move. They could keep 5. They've kept 5 before, but if you're talking about if it comes down to 4, it's gonna be obviously Graham, Barnett, Curry, and then. Am I missing someone? I'm not missing anything. Or Clowney.
And then we'll be
Clowney.
4. Yeah.
So if you're going to be 4, and then if they keep the 5th, it's going to be between Hall and Sweat. It's going to come down to who's the better player.
And it would probably end up being Sweat.
Well, if what you're saying is if Hall has been far and away the better player, then it's going to be Hall. It should be Hall.
But that's with me saying a few moments ago that this organization will, in recent years, will go and hold hands with the guy that they spent a pick on. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
But if it's I get what you're saying, but I think if the play of Hall is that much more, it's that much better and significantly higher than what Sweats has been, they have to go Hall.
I agree.
Unless if they keep 6. If they keep 6, then they don't have to make that determination. But who knows if they keep 6?
Well, here's an option. What if one of those 2 goes back in the Clowney deal?
That's what I was just going to bring up because I see Hall, as I said it 2 weeks ago, as your 4th guy anyway. So I think that you throw Sweat out there to offset Clowney a little bit. That way you're not giving up either a second pick if you have to give up 1 or 2, and you're not forced your hand to lose depth anywhere else.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. If they would take it, I don't know if I would. Hall or Sweat and a first.
Oh, no, it'd be more than that. I mean, like, for example, on this topic, like Jeff in here says his trade proposal for this Clowney thing. And if anybody at home has a trade proposal, feel free on YouTube, Facebook, wherever, put it in the comments, and we'll let you know what we think about it. He says Aguilar and a third or fourth for Clowney, slide JJAW into the Nelson role. Would you guys do that? I would.
Wait,
I
you said
Aguilar
Nelson?
and a third or fourth. So say it's a third, okay? Aguilar and a third for Clowney, slide JJAW into the Nelson role. I wouldn't. I would
consider it.
I wouldn't.
For a fourth, you wouldn't do it?
No, I wouldn't do it. No.
You wouldn't do it.
No, I wouldn't.
I would think about it. For a fourth, I would think about it even more.
Fourth, I would. Third, no.
Yeah. Third, I don't.
And like people like
It's
Dion
got
said
me
he loves
thinking,
it.
but
Again, and I've brought up trade proposals in the past that involves Nelson, but like we talked about earlier, we saw firsthand, and I understand last year doesn't affect this year, but it's a prime example because it literally happened to us not even a year ago, where we thought we had major depth at wide receiver, and within 2 seconds, we
gone.
went back down to having to start Shelton Gibson, who's not on an NFL
do you
team
have
right
do you
now.
have any idea when I saw that alert today, where breaking news, Deshaun Jackson breaks, and I was like, my heart dropped.
I was on the way
My
home.
heart dropped, and I thought it was something serious. I was like, this is it. This is how the season spirals downward.
I was driving home and I heard that come on the radio. I nearly swerved off the freaking road because, of course, they start with Deshaun Jackson ended up with a broken finger. I'm like, what? Like you don't start like you should be like he's gonna be okay. But again, people at home could say I'm being too cautious. I'm playing scared. Listen, we saw firsthand when we thought we had friggin' Wallace, we had Hollins, we had Alshon, we had Aguilar. I mean, how many times last summer were we saying, "Oh, we're stacked at wide receiver, we're stacked," and 3 weeks in, we're like, "Oh, we have DeAndre Carter and Shelton Gibson, and our starter is Nelson Aguilar."
Yeah.
Like,
see, I'm personally okay with getting rid of him.
Of course you are. He had 9 catches against you guys. Of course you're okay with getting.
Well, I don't like. I've never been a fan of him. I'm on the same.
Because he had 9
Crow.
catches against you.
No,
I know, Kevin. He had 9 catches against you. 9
9
catches.
I look at it this way: is I'm okay with going a little bit lighter as far as receiver depth if I know that I've got a plethora of running backs that can also catch. If I change up my offensive scheme a little bit, I've got 2 top tight ends. And then, you're going to end up sending Cindy Michelle's baby brother, down to the practice squad. You could always stash him away and bring him back up.
Mark and Michelle.
Yeah.
And Greg Ward. I mean, I get what you're saying. And it's a good argument. And again, like, it's not that I'm not opposed to trading Aguilar. I am. But I have to see more of JJAW first and see what he can do this season before I really consider like, okay, what am I comfortable giving up for him? You know what I mean? Like, if someone's gonna come in and offer a 1st-round pick for Nelson Aguilar right now, I'd be like, oh, okay, all right,
yes.
all right, I'll do it.
Tell me
I'll
more.
do it.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Sure, but you get what I'm saying? Like, the deal has to be worth it. I'm not looking like so many of these Eagles fans are eager to push him out the door for nothing, for practically nothing. That's not how. You shouldn't be eager because of the depth. If it's the right package, if it's a deal. Now, here, I trust Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter, I believe, was the person that reported months ago that the Eagles are shopping Nelson Aguilar.
yes.
So, and I trust him. Schefter's one of the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
If that's true, I'm not really opposed to that. That's fine to be shopping a player.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Nelson hasn't been dealt, what that tells me is that there's no deal that has been put on the table to Howie that is worth trading Aguilar for.
No.
So and if that's the case, where does it hurt? And you know what really annoys me and really I find funny is that people are like, he's making $9 million. You need to get rid of that. We are projected to have $23+ million in cap space for the year. Cap space is not an issue anymore. I know Chrome commented something.
You just mentioned the money.
The money. It's so stupid. I don't even have to read it. Like, we're our top 23. I don't know how you guys know how it works, but because of, the rosters aren't cut down yet, the way the cap space works in terms of projections is they like spot rack and everything. They project the top 52 players. I know it's a 53-man roster. They project the top 52 salaries, and that's how they figure out what the cap space for a team will be as of right now. Obviously, we won't know until cut down day, but that's how they project it. Spot rack is projecting 20, it's like 23, 22 million plus in cap space for the Eagles. Obviously, Nelson's $9 million cap hit is not hurting the team in any way right now. You can make a case before, because I know that to begin the offseason, we were in cap hell before how he made all those moves. But he's made all the moves. He's done all the contract and renegotiations and restructuring. We are not in cap space purgatory like the Dallas Cowboys or whatnot. We have cap room. Why does everyone keep bringing up, Nelson's $9 million? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now. It really doesn't. So stop bringing that part up. It's irrelevant right now.
We have a lot of trade proposals in both chats, which
Read
is
them.
cool.
We have what, 8 minutes before break? So get them off.
Hold on, just gotta post this. Okay. So we start off, and YouTube, I'll get to you in a sec. Well, Clay said Seahawks send third to Houston for Clowney. If I read that, if that's true. I'm not. That's just a proposal. I get that. I'm not saying he's breaking any news. But say, for example, that did happen, and all Seattle had to do was send a third, and they got Clowney. Then I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Then I'm pissed. I'm like, what? Then I'm like, what did we do? What are we doing? Dion said, according to ESPN tweets yesterday, he wants to play in DC. Dion, I don't think
I didn't read that at all.
No.
Yeah, I didn't read that at all.
No, it's Seattle and Philly.
Yeah, Seattle and Philly.
John Malmus said Big V in a third round pick. They need O-line. Big V can step in and play. If that's on the table, I do that in 2 seconds. Big V in a third, I'm doing that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I am too. I'm absolutely doing that.
Clay said Michelle is going to be a beast next year. I don't know if he's talking about our Michelle or your
Michelle.
I mean, I think they're both going to be solid.
Do you think-
Obviously,
I don't know how.
obviously ours is already proven.
Market Michelle is not. He hasn't even had buzz to make it over Greg Ward.
Yeah,
So,
I was going to say, I don't know how he could be a
breaks.
bust for us because there's no room
Yeah,
unless
there's
we
no
do trade friggin' Aguilar. Dion said, I just read on my laptop that he's not. Oh, talking about DJX, that he's not expected to miss time, and the Eagles aren't worried about his injury until he'll be on the field week 1 against Washington. Yeah, I mean, that's true, Dion. We also heard the fact that the doctor did tell him it's a 4-week injury. So, listen, I just don't like it. Okay,
He'll have a broken finger for the first month of the season.
That's
and
not
then it'll be
good,
fine.
Chucks.
But at least he'll still be running. He'll have some
It's
drop
on his
passes,
legs.
but
Do
he'll
you
still be
catch
running.
the ball with your ears?
Yeah, but
He's got
what
2
if?
hands.
Yeah, but he can still stretch the field. He can still be a decoy, still stretch the field, and it's only for the first month. I get what you're saying, but
I get what you're saying.
it beats him being out the whole month.
Listen, I have to get in this panicky mood because it is Eagle season. We gotta get ready for this.
Just use his other hand. You're good. Tape it
He's
up.
not Odell. He's not Odell.
He can only pretend.
Touche.
Not hard
Touche.
though, yeah.
Chrome said, taking out that I'm not a big Nelson guy. Really, Chrome? We
Oh,
have no
really,
idea.
Chrome?
How are you going to deny that fact?
He's just putting that out of the way. He says he's going to get paid on the market. We have to start making decisions on guys we're going to pay. He doesn't make the cut in my book. Really, Chrome? I had no idea. He says get something for him. Yeah, I get it. Like the chance. Are we betting that
Yeah, but
Nelson's going to be here long term? No.
But then here's the thing: we can still get something for him if he leaves and signs a big contract anywhere. We can still get a third round comp pick for him.
Yes, I'm not. And I get what Chrome's saying. Like, yeah, if we can get something for him, do it. Don't be handcuffed. But I don't want to worry about. I don't want to start making preparations for next off season.
So what? Every person on a 1-year deal on a team should just be traded away, no matter how talented they are. Oh, they're on one to get something for them.
Here, take
not
them.
here long term.
Take them.
You're not long term. Yeah, Chrome.
Especially
Chrome,
before the season.
Chrome
they
does.
don't even play
Chrome
yet.
hates Aguilar.
Yeah,
So I mean, he's not the most objective person in this art.
Well, he did
comes to
have
this.
when the first year that I was
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you
he's
guys,
like-
the Nelson Aguilar drop count.
Yeah, which was at 3?
what was that, like
The
2? Because that
whole
was a
year-
Super
or
Bowl
2
year.
Yeah, the Super Bowl year. Yeah,
You
like,
picked the right year to start.
and I will throw in the fact that after every drop he had, they went right to him on the very next play every single time, and he
That's
made
very
a
true.
big catch.
That's very true.
I noted that because every drop, I was like, "Come on, Nelson, you got to come back and make a big play." And every single time, they went right back to him, and he made a huge play. Especially in the Super Bowl, where he made a catch, turned around, and went for the first down. Right, Kevin? Right? Yes, Kevin. Yes, he
Unfortunately-
did.
Kev, were
Fortunately,
you
you're right.
watching that game?
I don't know what game you're talking about, actually.
Okay. All right, we'll talk later about that. Clay does say he was talking about Sony. That makes sense. I
Okay.
already think he's a beast now.
Yeah, he's a beast now.
John Malmus says the following. Oh no, I skipped Dan. Dan said absolutely you don't trade players when you don't have to, and they give you value, and no one is willing to give value in return. I'll ride with Major Nelson. I guess he's talking about Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
John Malmus said, "Will Howie also do something with Malcolm Jenkins before the season starts?" ? And sending Wiz to the Patriots for a 4th.
Well, okay. First question.
First question, Malcolm Jenkins. Will anything happen with the contract
Possibly.
before the season?
Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens like the week of the season.
So next week.
I'm not guaranteeing it.
And
I'm just saying I
then
wouldn't be surprised.
Sending Wiz to the Patriots for a 4th.
Yo, Wiz hasn't been good. Wiz has
I was a
not
Wiz
been good.
guy. I was a Wiz guy.
We all were.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened. He's dropped. There's a chance he might not. Be prepared if he's a surprise cut.
Who would have thought that, if you would have said this time last year, that Jordan Mailata would have a better chance of making the team than Stefan Wisniewski, who was on the Super Bowl
That's
roster.
crazy.
It's something, man.
People drop off, man. The players drop off quick.
Which is another reason, Chucks, I'm not rushing to trade Andre freaking Dillard.
No.
Okay, Twitter.
Exactly.
As far as the trade goes, you can't get anything from New England for a 4th. That's their prime time
That's
draft round.
Yeah, they trade first round picks to get into the
Yeah.
4th round.
That's where you draft Pro
Like, we
Bowlers
need
right there.
we need to be picking from picks 1 to 20 in the 4th round.
It's haunting, too, because, to think about it, you guys have better success with 4th rounders than you do 1st rounders. That is haunting. Half the time, you guys don't even have a 1st because you're
And
like,
who-
Bill's like, let's go on vacation.
And who is the mainly responsible for that? Bill Belichick. Of course. That's why he is the GOAT.
Like I said earlier, Stidham drafted this year, 4th round, about to beat Hoyer out for a second
Backup spot.
Yep.
A couple more before we head to
Yep.
break. Nicholas John Park says Jackson's hand could be concerning if he injures it worse or doesn't produce at par. Just a realistic possibility. Hope it doesn't hurt them, though. Dan says, I honestly can see Nelson having a big year this year with D. Jackson Alshon being in the fold. Yeah, because you know why? What did we talk about last year? When we thought we had Mike Wallace, and we thought we had Matt Collins. We thought we had a full throttle Alshon Jeffrey before he missed the first 3 weeks. We kept saying, who's the guy that's going to be the most happy in the season? Nelson Aguilar, because it frees up room for who?
No one's
Nelson
gonna be-
Aguilar.
No one's gonna be within 10 yards.
And what happened?
He's
Nelson
gonna be-
Aguilar was the only guy on the island. Oh man, I'm telling you, I like Nelson. I love Jadeveon Clowney, but just can we just, you know how all the commercials say drink responsibly?
Yeah.
Let's trade responsibly, ladies.
Well,
and gentlemen.
here's one person you gotta tell to trade responsibly because Bill Middlebrook has
Oh.
been on the trade Nelson Aguilar
for
immediately.
2 years.
Yes, for 2 years.
Hi, Bill.
Yes, hi,
Good
Bill.
to hear from you,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah, very good.
Yeah, Yeah, you can read it.
Yeah, we'll I was gonna say no. I'll read it now. JJ is my man. Been saying it since he was drafted. Not only will he get 6 or more, he will lead the team in touchdowns. He's our future. Will be an Eagle for a long time. Lead the team in touchdowns this year. I don't know about that, Bill.
What happened to Alshon? What happened to
There's
Zach
still
Ertz?
there's still people, like Alshon and Zach Ertz and Goddard. So I don't know about that.
Man,
Yeah,
by
that's
the
not
way, I know
happening.
this is not a Philly show. Do not try to steal on JT Realmuto.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, please don't go anywhere because we have only just begun.
A lot of comments still to read, too.
We have the hot topic over the weekend coming up in the second half to kick it off. We will be talking about Andrew Luck. We all have a lot to say about that. I know we do. I know you guys probably have a lot to say. So please, Don't go anywhere. Give yourself time your clocks for like 5 minutes, and we'll be back shortly, okay? But our first half was brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. And by Specialized Physical Therapy LLC, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our poll question brought to you by Scanzano Sports. We are live from the Real Talk Studios. We will be back soon. Again, 5 minutes, guys. 5, okay? Clocks, 5-minute timer. Come back in 5 minutes. Be right back here. Let's go. We got Andrew Luck to talk about. Let's do it. See you in 5.
4.
Welcome back. I told you, 5 minutes. Did you set your timers at 5 minutes? I hope you did, because we're back. Birds of a Feather, live from the Real Talk Studios. Thanks to Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com, and Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our poll question, which was brought to you by Scanzano Sports, is JJ Arcega-Whiteside will score at least 6 touchdowns in 2019. Agree or disagree? We talked about it. I said agree. He's going to be right at 6. You said disagree because of the depth. Ryan said agree. So let us know what you think. We have had a lot of people pretty much agreeing. Like it's mostly been people agree with like either one of us is like either right around 6 or just under. Why we've had a couple people saying like way over, like Bill. Bill says he'll lead the team in touchdowns, which is a little. I mean, I love JJ Arcega-Whiteside, but I think knowing the other weapons on the team, that's kind of hard to believe. Bill also says, listen, anybody that thinks Nelson is worth $10 million is crazy. Yes, he's getting traded. First of all, Bill, I never said he was worth $10 million. All I said is that him getting paid $9 million isn't really affecting the team right now. And then I also said that I didn't say he wouldn't be getting traded at all. Who hit the home run?
Was that Logan Morrison?
Solo home run.
Is that Logan Morrison?
I don't know. You know better than I would.
I think that's Logan Morrison.
Cool.
Oh, they're still going to lose.
But anyway, Bill, I never said that he wouldn't get traded. I just said I'm not trading him for, like, peanuts. I said it has to be a worthwhile deal. Then Jeff Lohmeyer says, drafted JJ in the 9th round of my fantasy draft. I'd love to have him in an opportunity to contribute right away. I got JJ Arcega-Whiteside in my auction draft for $1, which is the bare minimum. You know what that's equivalent to in the snake draft? That's like the 15th round. So I'm just playing around. I'm not trying to compare, but yeah, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I took a flyer on him. He's one of my my bench stash players, young guys that I took as a flyer to see if they develop. I'm big on JJ. I love me some JJAW. So got that. Jeff also says drafted Deshaun in the 12th round to stash if injuries were to occur. So I also drafted Deshaun in my league. I wasn't planning to, but it was toward the end, and most people it was getting to in an auction draft. Like when you get toward the end, people usually like just do like $1, $2 bids on stuff because like it's going to get toward the end of the draft. No one had nominated Deshaun, and I got him for $3. And you have a $200 budget, so $3 for Deshaun is a steal. So I was like, if I'm going to get Deshaun for $3, I wasn't planning to get him because now I feel like I have too many Eagles on my team, but I'm going to take a good player at a steal. So
especially since he's the guy that's going to lead your team in touchdowns, not JJ.
Oh, I like that. I would be very happy, very very happy that he fell into my lap. All right, so keep bringing your trade proposals. Do you want to cover some of the trade proposals before we get into the luck stuff?
So real quick, there's a few over here on YouTube. Bryce Blackwell, first off, he says, what's up? He had earlier comments earlier. He said, Nelly, Sweat, Big V in a second for Clowney and getting back a 3rd round pick. I don't know if we'd have to do all that. That's too much. Even if we are getting a 3rd round pick back. Todd Womack says Big V in a 4th for Clowney and a 5th. I'd do that in 2 seconds.
Big V and a 4th for
Clowney and a 5th.
Yeah.
I'd do that in 2 seconds.
I do that. I don't think the Texans would, but I would.
He's on his way.
And then some other comments about Deshaun, which we had already covered. So yeah, feel free to get into the Andrew Luck.
Definitely. So guys, yeah, keep those. If you have more trade proposals, if you have more stuff about Eagles, and the Clowney rumors, definitely put them in the chat. We will answer them as we go along. But now we will be moving on and talking about the surprising retirement. Well, it kind of shouldn't have been a surprise, but it's surprising, the timing and everything. The retirement of Andrew Luck. Where were you when that happened? It's one of those moments where it's like, where were you when this happened? Where were you when you read on your phone via the alerts on your phone, because I know we all get alerts, that Andrew Luck was retiring. Where were you, Kevin?
So I think I was at work, and I think I didn't find out till the following morning.
What?
Or
Really?
I found out I was at work. I don't know if it was the following morning or because I don't know the exact timeline because it was a little bit skewed with with the game going on. But I was at work. My brother sent me a text of a picture of him retiring. At first, I thought it was
just a
fake fake news.
yeah.
Hashtag fake news. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is. It brought up a lot of bittersweet memories of Gronk. Obviously, having gone through the same things. Still seemed like he had something left in the tank, but was emotionally didn't have the love for the game based off of injury. He wants to play, but doesn't want to play knowing that the risks that he's putting out there.
Yeah.
Similar to a Romo-esque situation. Hey, I could probably come back, but the percentage of my back breaking for a fourth time is pretty high, so I'm good type of thing. I think it's way blown out of proportion of the fans that are jumping on him saying he left his team, prematurely, shouldn't have done it this late into the preseason or off season where you're starting in a week and you're leaving without a quarterback. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're mentally not there anyway, why would the Colts want him in there?
Yeah. Like it's and I don't like saying this because it's sports. It's sports talk. It's sports debate. Nothing should ever be taken personal. Like Ryan, me and you get into heated debates once a month.
I'd like to say it's every 3.
Every 3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Now that Eagle season's back, it's probably gonna be once a month. So yeah, that's probably right.
So like we get into heated debates. I get into heated debates with Tom, a lot of people, and it's sports talk. It's never taken seriously.
No.
Like it's you at the end of the day you laugh it off, you shake hands, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it comes to matters like this, there are certain things. And the last time we had a topic similar to this in my eyes, I mean it's not the same level, but it's one of those where it goes beyond football, and that was the Kareem Hunt situation.
Mm-hmm.
When I see some comments and some reactions from fans online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, I start to really lose respect for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't like saying that because I'm trying not to make this personal because it is sports talk, but
they
when
made
it's
it when they make it personal first.
it's hard to.
Yes.
It's like, and I'm being honest, like this goes beyond sports. This is a person's well-being, and it's unfortunate that people forget that. Like some fans forget the fact that we're playing. They are playing a game, and I get it. It's a game we love. Like I want to make my whole career surrounding around this game. My life is besides my family, it's about this game. Football. I love it as much as anyone, but it's still a game. Like I just said, besides my family, well, Andrew Luck and thousands of other players, they have their own lives. They're humans. They have their own health and well-being to look out for as well. So I don't care about the timing if it comes to your personal health and your well-being. Like when is timing more about a game, about being there? And I get it because the timing sucks. The timing absolutely sucks that it happened and it came out this late, this close to the season. It absolutely sucks. It's so unfortunate. But that's not Andrew Luck's fault. It's not like he predicted he was going to get another injury, this time to his foot, and he would have to rehab again and might not be available for week 1. It's not like he predicted that months ago. If he had predicted that months ago, he would have retired months ago. But he didn't. This recent injury put him back into rehab and make him be like, this is too much. And like it gets to the point where if you're not loving what you do and it's mentally wearing on you, and mental health is a thing. It's a legit thing. I've seen it. I'm pretty sure we've all have been witnessing in one case or another to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mental health and his physical well-being. Why would you force a person to do that? You know, I think Doug Baldwin, where he had a really good tweet, and it had to do pretty much, I'm going to paraphrase it, but he was talking about how dare Andrew Luck, here we go, I have it. He said, how dare Luck not sacrifice his body for my entertainment? Who cares if your shoulder is too messed up to pick up your child? Who cares if your knees are too messed up to play with your kids? Who cares about the quality of your life? What about the quality of my Sundays? Fans, I really wish they would just look in the mirror and realize that when they criticize Andrew Luck for retiring because of his health and it's become too much for him, they're pretty much saying that in a nutshell. They are saying that. And I get that some people are like the timing, but it doesn't matter. You put the timing is secondary when it comes to this. So it's really bothersome. And when I see, it's kind of like a wake-up call that when I see something like this, when I see something like what happened with Kareem Hunt, when I see stuff all along those lines where it goes beyond football, and I read what some fans have to say, it's really sad because I start to lose respect for some fans. And I start to lose respect for people because they don't understand that this is a game and that there are things in life that are more important than football. And it's sad and it's disrespectful that they can't see that.
Well, you know what gets me too? It's that, and everything you said is spot on. You know, I laugh when people, you know, on here, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever, you know, want to try and analyze it like they number one, that they know what they're talking about. Number two, that they were in the room. Three, they are in his brain. And they're trying to analyze like, oh, he did this. Shut up. No, nobody knows what he was going through except for a handful amount of people. You know why I know that? Because no one knew this was going on until it was leaked out. Yeah. This had to be leaked out. Whichever leaked it, shame on them, to be honest. Because he didn't even go out on his terms. He was supposed to have a press conference on that Sunday with his after he told the teammates. He was forced to have an impromptu press conference after the preseason game because he was in the building. Like, come on now. The fact that people want to talk about professionalism, talk about the fact that he doesn't have the drive anymore, that he's gotten lazy. First off, ladies and gentlemen, no, don't talk about professionalism. Don't talk about drive and effort and competitiveness, because if he didn't have any of those things, he wouldn't be where he's at in the first place. Mm-hmm. Not just in the NFL, but at the top of his game, one of the 3 best, 5 best, at least 10 best quarterbacks in the league. It's not hard. At the end of the day, yes, listen, and when people say, oh, if Carson Wentz did this, you'd be upset. Of course I would. We all would. But at the end of the day, it's human nature to feel some disappointment. And yeah, do I fault and do I call those people in the stadium that were booing in the moment when they only knew half the information? Am I going to call them scumbags? No, because they're like the outlier. You understand? Mm-hmm. Because number one, even the reports about that has gotten out of hand because people were saying it was everybody. It really wasn't everybody that was booing him. And for the select few, listen, I'm not going to do what everybody does to our fan base and take a handful of people and call them all what they are.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that. That would be irresponsible of me because we always rant about how bad that is when that happens to us.
A handful of people don't define a fan base.
What I am going to fault are the media people, the sports fans, the former players, whatever, on Twitter days after until today going forward. They're going to fault him. It doesn't matter what I think, you think, people at home think about Andrew Luck's situation. You know what matters? What Andrew Luck and the people around Andrew Luck think about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't care my analyzation of it or yours or Bill Belichick's or Tom Brady's or Carson. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. Are we disappointed as sports fans? Yeah, because I liked Andrew Luck.
I love watching Andrew Luck.
Are those Colts fans really upset and disappointed and probably like, what the hell just happened? Yeah, because they were, for the first year in a long time, they were going to have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. They are probably one of the favorites in the league, in my opinion.
Yes.
But you know what matters? the guy's a piece.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's a piece. And listen, anyone who's saying, oh, well, if he comes back in 2 years, he's a fraud. And listen, do I understand elements of that? Maybe. But that's not for me. That's not for anybody to say because who said he is coming back?
Yeah.
We'll analyze that if he does come back.
Yeah.
And if he goes, but like people were saying, oh, well, if he ends up on another team, and if he ends, say, for example, he ends up on the Patriots. So now we're creating a scenario that's not even on the planet.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's pettiness.
Yeah, and before we get to you, real quick, I just, with the whole booing thing, it's like I had one of my friends say, like, it's first reaction. Like when you first hear the news, especially if it's your team, you're gonna be angry. And my reply to that is, my first reaction is gonna be anger. It's gonna be shock and disbelief. But I get the anger. The anger is gonna come. But regardless if you get angry and you get upset about the situation because now like your season's down the drain almost, that doesn't give you the right to boo the player. Like feeling some way doesn't mean you go out and act on it. Just because I'm angry at a person doesn't mean I go out and beat the crap out of them because I'm angry at them. Like, since when do we stop knowing how to differentiate feeling from action? Like, so if I'm going to be upset, if I'm one of those fans, and I'm going to be upset and in shock, I'm still not going to go and boo that player. You know, like, the objective me would say I would probably cheer him because there's got to be a legit reason for him to do that. But even if I don't do that, even that doesn't happen, I'm not going to go out and boo. If anything, I'm just going to sit in my seat with my jaw to the floor still. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference. They're like, you don't, just because you feel a way doesn't mean you act on it. So the feelings of anger as a fan don't justify the actions of being disrespectful to a player that gave. And here's like one of the last things I'll say to cover the topic is anyone who's saying that he owes the fan base or the team that paid him and his salary, what do you call the 7 years that he gave where he literally was the Colts team? He led them to and I know you're an AFC team, so you know like how far he was bringing those Colts teams in the playoffs. It was literally him. Like, he had, good players here and there, but those were luck. That was not luck, like the phrase luck. That was Andrew Luck willing that team on his shoulders to the playoff victories, and as far as they went. They had success because of him, and he was fearless. He gave his body game in and game out. He gave his absolute all. So don't tell me that he owes the fans or the team more than what he did, and that he owes them anything. He doesn't owe anyone jack squat because he gave his all while he was playing. And if you watched him for just one game, you would be able to tell that.
Yeah, I think the issue with the fans is not necessarily the fact that he did it, that he is retiring, that he is moving on past it, or the reasons why. I think it's just the timing. Because we got to look at it this way. This isn't the first time this has happened where a player has either left, in the middle of his prime, in the, in a period where we think that he still has something left in the tank. But I look at it this way. It's we all do and play different things that we love to do, whether it be golf, whether it be, radio, whether it be, playing football or having a catch. There comes to a point in time where other factors come in to say that activity is not fun anymore. And us as people, okay, if something's not fun or if something's not worth doing, 90% of us are not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Just because you're making money and getting paid to do it, he can go out and get paid to do something else. You don't be mad at the guy for doing what he wants and moving on with his life just because it's not what you wanted for him.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. It's you have two big names right now for the Patriots. There's obviously one, Tom Brady, two is Gronkowski. Obviously we see what happened with Gronk, but they don't need the Patriots. The Patriots need them. It's Brady has his own company with TB12. His wife owns islands out in the Caribbean and makes more money than he does.
He does.
Like, Gronk comes from a family of 5 professional sports athletes, all with their own company. It's like they don't need the NFL. The NFL needs them. So we should respect the time that they've given in to our team, and B, what they've already done for us. We shouldn't say, oh, wait, no, you need to do more before you can move on. Because that's just not that's just not right. That's not how it works. And, for guys to come out and say, oh, I don't care if you can have catches with your son, or I don't care if you can pick him up, or that's just outright disrespectful.
Or you're being soft.
Yeah. That outright disrespectful. That should never come out of somebody's mouth to say, oh, it's more important for me to watch you on TV as I eat my popcorn and pizza and get all fat and slobby versus you having a life with your family.
Yeah.
Like that's.
And the other thing that I've been hearing is that, you're screwing over the team and the team and the players or teammates. Did you see T.Y. Hilton's thing?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
About how he gets emotional every time he thinks about Luck leaving, and then he throws his support, and he's dedicating this season to Andrew Luck. He doesn't seem like he minds or like he's upset or bitter over Luck retiring. Like, I bet you if you asked the players there, and to what you said earlier, Ryan, like about like players and like that may have been against Luck. I know that Andy Ritter, I think Steve Berline was one that was against him, but like I follow a lot of players on Twitter. I don't follow everyone, obviously.
Every
is supporting
single
him. Player has supported him.
You know why? Because they actually understand. Because they have ground to stand on.
Yes.
When it comes to it, not somebody who does this or somebody who's a construction worker. Not that nobody's allowed to have an opinion. I hate that narrative going around that like unless you played the sport you shouldn't have an opinion. That's not what I'm trying to say at all.
Yeah.
But like you said, Chucks, this transcends sports.
Yeah.
This transcends whether you're a good player or not. I can't relate to being hit 100 times in a football season. I've never played football a day in my life.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
Especially to the degree that he has.
But we understand that it goes beyond. You don't have to. That's another thing that's sad is that you shouldn't have to have played the sport to understand the gravity of why this is fine. Like, there's no. And the other thing that people always throw out is like, I know that one person said like, oh, what he wants to quit because it's too hard. What about all like the steel mill workers and everything? I have 1,000% respect for anyone that does like blue collar type of work.
Absolutely.
1,000% respect. But to compare them, it's different. There's so many different factors behind each of them. It's not the same. And I don't like when people throw that out there like, oh, well, these millionaire football players, they should be lucky. They should be doing this because they're getting paid millions. And, I'm here, but I'm a construction worker. I bust my ass. I respect the construction worker so much because they're doing work that I personally would not be able to do. But you still can't compare. It's different because it's different. It's just different. It's not the same. And, I watched a clip of it. I don't watch ESPN, but I watched a clip of it on Twitter. On the Golic, the Trey Wingo and Golic morning show, they were saying the same thing. They were talking about like one of the radio people that was comparing those type of workers to Andrew Luck, and they even said it's not the same. Like you can't bring that type of a comparison because there are so many different other factors that go into the circumstance behind Luck, go into the circumstance behind them, and just because Luck quits is retiring, that doesn't make him a softie or a quitter or a bad person. It doesn't.
You know what gets me too, and it's a narrative that keeps going around, which I don't. It's the most simple explanation, but people still don't understand it. People are saying, "Oh, he left the team hanging." Who's going to start week 1 now? Andrew Luck was never going to start week 1. Remember the whole reports, ladies and gentlemen, on there was a foot issue that was turning into something else, and it was looking like more likely that he would start closer to around week 3, week 4. And again, we know this going back a couple years. Remember the year that Andrew Luck, it was our Super Bowl year, that Andrew Luck completely sat out the entire year. They shut him down. Do you remember all the conflicting reports coming out of that organization where that injury was only supposed to delay him 2 weeks? He was supposed to start week 3, the same week as Carson Wentz did last year. You understand? That ended up turning into 6 weeks, 9 weeks, and shutting him down. So really, if the organization came out and said, oh, well, in August, probably going to be around week 3. It'd probably been more than that if he was on the roster. Jacoby Brissett was always starting week 1, ladies and gentlemen. So anyone who's saying, well, it's right before the season, they have to change plans for week 1. No, they don't. They don't. That's wrong. That is inaccurate.
What I don't understand is how do we, as a fan base, cumulatively across the NFL, applaud guys like a Wes Welker for retiring because of 6 known NFL concussions, not even factoring in college or before then. Applaud him for stepping down or stepping away out of bigger roles because of his health, yet condemn guys like Luck, where he steps away not only mental health but physical health. Hey, I don't know if I'll ever be 100% ever again at this rate, so I'm going to step away so that the team can have success and not be focused on me coming out and not have to worry about that. Why is it for one guy okay but the other not?
Yeah. Why is it? And here's the thing, look at it this way. Let's spin it a little bit. People are angry that, the Colts fans, what are they gonna do now? Who's gonna start? What happened to their season? Colts fans want, refunds for season tickets. Let's spin it this way. What if Andrew Luck suffered a season-ending injury instead of retiring? Do you still demand your season tickets back because he's not going to be there for the whole season? Do fans still rip Andrew Luck because he's hurt and he's not there and, the rest of the team has to play without him? So why is it any different? It still has to do with his health. It still has to do with his well-being. So Andrew Luck not being there for this season because of retiring, to me, is the same as, well, not the same, but you still don't have a right to blast that if he had gotten hurt. The narrative behind it would have been totally different if he had gotten hurt and injured and lost for the whole season.
So North Dakota Mama chimes in and says, Andrew Luck is a class act. Those same fans would have booed him if he played and did not play well and lost games because he could not physically do it and ended up with a career-ending injury. Literally illustrating what you just said. That is spot on.
Spot on, North Dakota Mama. We're on the same page. And it's just when you think, you have to think about it on another level. They're mad because he made a choice. But the thing is, they're not looking at the fact that the choice he made was for a very, very legit reason. And you can't blame him for that at all.
You should blame Colts fans and angry NFL fans. Blame Ryan Grigson.
Ryan Grigson.
Somebody who ignored the offensive line position.
Years.
Similar to how the Texans are doing that with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
And I think that the ending, that could be very similar timelines on those two. Because it's organizations that are ignoring what's literally staring at them right in the face.
Yeah.
He didn't try and go out of his way to protect Andrew Luck. The damage that was done in the Ryan Grigson era has caused this. Has caused this.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to ask this question. And I got a lot of people disagreed with me when I posted this question. And when I posted the question a few days ago, it was more so half like a joking thing. But because I definitely understand. Let me get to it. Looking back on it now, 2020. I'm not talking about at the time, but being able to go back and look at it 2020 vision retroactively. Do you think it was the right decision still for the Colts to let go of Peyton Manning and go ahead with Luck? Because look at it this way, and I understand. In no way is this. I'm gonna say this. In no way is this me blasting Andrew Luck. I'm not. I'm more so looking at it and questioning the Colts' decision, because I was someone at the time, and I will admit that I felt it was the wrong move, because I was in the minority. I believed Peyton Manning still had years left, whereas with Andrew Luck, he was a relative unknown. So you go with your person that's been leading you is still an elite QB. I still wanted to go with Peyton Manning, and I was, it turned out that I was correct. He had 3 good years left, and he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, led them to another one which they lost, but he still had 1 MVP season. And then the other 2 seasons were still very good. Were still like elite seasons. And then his last season was where he dropped off, and he was like the worst starter in the league, which I get. But he had 3 still very high level play seasons left in them. With Andrew Luck, the Colts' reasoning was that we would rather let go of Peyton Manning, who has a few good years left, and invest in Andrew Luck, who has 15 good years left. Well, he only had 7. He only ended up with 7. So if you were able to go to the Colts and be like, you're only getting Andrew Luck for 7 years. If you were able to go back in time and tell the Colts front office that, would that have changed anything? And again, I'm not talking about at that time what decision you would make, because I understand the decision at the time. Retroactively, as you look back on it, do you still think it was the right decision?
I personally think that it was the right decision for a couple of reasons. I think that if given the opportunity, I'm always going to move in a younger, more younger and cheaper, but yet still similar talent-wise direction. I think that making the move away from Peyton Manning and going into Luck was definitely the right move, either now or then. I think every move after the fact was the downfall. I think not bringing in enough offensive line, not bringing in enough defensive help to be able to counterbalance the points that Luck could put up, not bringing in a strong enough running back to open up any games, not bringing in anybody to play across from T.Y. Hilton. There was a lot more gaps that needed to be filled than just one move. And for me, it's very similar to the Brett Favre and Rodgers situation, where if you look at how Brett Favre, obviously a lot later on in his career than what Peyton was. A lot of people think that he should have just retired right out, as just stayed retired the first time and not try to move on to teams like the Jets and the Vikings. But same situation. Hey, do we keep an older quarterback, not knowing exactly when they're going to retire, because they could pick and choose at any given point, B, what they've got left in the tank and risk their injury, or do we move on and try to fill in pieces around them? The Packers moved on for the good all the way around, but they put pieces around them.
Yeah.
The Colts didn't. So you run into an issue where quarterback move makes sense. Yes, good job. Everything around it that you need to protect that quarterback, now that you've got to move, you kept it the same. You still have guys there that are faltering out from the Peyton Manning era that, okay, what else is there to help them? Nothing.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. That's a good point. I can't argue too much against it, right?
Even knowing how this all ends, it was still the right decision, because, and I get what you're saying, Chuck's like, yeah, Peyton Manning went on to, he won a Super Bowl. He went to 2 Super Bowls. He had an MVP caliber season. And I understand, like you said, the final year, the year he did win the Super Bowl, it wasn't very good.
It wasn't, yeah.
But, I'm not targeting this at you, but, I don't like when people say, oh, well, he led them to a Super Bowl. He did. Brock Osweiler replaced him in the middle of the year. He was just a guy who
won that Super Bowl.
Yes.
The defense won that Super Bowl, and he was, like I said it earlier, he was probably the worst starting quarterback in the whole league that year.
Absolutely.
And this is coming from a Peyton Manning fan. I'm willing to admit that.
So I say that it's, a good decision. It was a good decision, even knowing that for a couple of reasons. Number one, and Kev, you'll enjoy this, and I always say it because it's the right move. It was very Bill Belichick of them to do it, because Bill Belichick gets rid of guys, and I don't want to use the term gets rid because that's disrespecting Peyton Manning, but he moves on from guys a year early as opposed to a year too late.
Right.
You're looking at it to where, look what Andrew Luck was in college, how he was looked at. He was considered one of the best, if not the best, college quarterbacks of all time, okay? People knew that, okay? People think that, right now the hot commodity in a couple years is going to be Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson.
Yep.
People think there's a lot of hype around that guy. People forget what Andrew Luck was, okay? The hype around him.
He was supposed to be. I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback in my lifetime that was hyped up in the draft as much as Andrew.
They were calling him the next big thing, you know what I'm saying? And we always hear that, especially around draft time. People they prop guys up like they're superstars, and guys, quarterbacks, I mean, listen, you can look at the Mariota and Jameis Winston draft. Guys that really turned out not to be anything were propped up like next superstars. That's just what happens. But Andrew Luck was different. So the Colts looked at that. They looked at Peyton Manning, who was hurt. I mean, he was hurt at the time. It wasn't like Peyton Manning was still spry and he wasn't getting hurt. I mean, he was hurt. He had a major injury at the time. And they saw an opportunity that a guy who was projected, and he was a superstar even, listen, they didn't win any Super Bowls, but like we talked about, that organization, that general manager did him no favors in those years when Andrew Luck was semi-healthy. And you know what they did? And you know what he did? Led them playoffs on his back. Nothing around him. And he did that. With the constant narrative around Indianapolis talking about, oh my God, imagine what this kid can do. Imagine what this team can do when we help him. What we help him. We as fans, they as an organization, could have never have seen that it was only 7 years, because like we talked about, what has happened over the last 72 hours is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it. We've seen it with Calvin Johnson, certain players like that, but nothing with quarterbacks. Not Andrew Luck. And we all knew, listen, he's been plagued with injuries. But we know a handful of guys that were plagued with injuries that didn't go through this. We never could have expected this, nor could have they. So I understand and I completely support the pick, even knowing what was the end goal, what the end result was. They made the right move. They did. And unfortunately, they're going to have to live with the fact that they went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. And at the end of both their careers, they only end up with one Super Bowl. It's not Andrew Luck's fault. That's not Peyton Manning's fault. That's the Colts' fault. And that's just the truth.
Go ahead.
That's the other thing, is you also have to look at the time, and obviously since then, going around the league, what is the trend of other teams? You don't see Brady's, you don't see Breeze's. I'm not talking about their overall athletic ability. I'm talking about people aren't with teams for 20 years. As far as quarterbacks go. They're with them 5 years max. How many guys around the league are on their fourth, fifth team? Outside of guys that are, out the gate, in the Wentz era, still under their first 5 years.
If you exclude the quarterbacks,
right.
You look at everything,
Yeah. People aren't staying with teams like they are, for their careers. So if you're looking at guys, when the Colts take Luck, I'm looking at other teams around the league. Okay, where is everyone else going to be when I get to be where I want to be with my team around this quarterback? Is Brady still in the league? Are we running the AFC? You have to take those into consideration too. As they didn't put themselves in a prime situation to capitalize on other teams that have moved on from players. It's as far as the quarterback play, they made a good move, especially knowing that I don't think that outside of the 1 year, 1 out of the 3 with the Broncos, I don't think Peyton was anything. I think that defense was what made him look good, if anything, and won the Super Bowl.
I think he was still good in the first 3 years in Denver.
I think he was good. I don't think it was.
I still think he was really, really good.
Let me ask you this then, Chuckster. Okay. So in those first, in the equal years of Peyton Manning with Broncos, Andrew Luck with obviously Indianapolis, which guy would you have rather had? To me, it's Andrew Luck. It's not close.
See, you're talking to a huge Peyton Manning fan, so I'm going to say Peyton Manning because I think that, and I get that Andrew Luck has more tools because he's a better athlete, he's more gifted, and that's more of the mold of the modern quarterback is being able to move. I get that. And Peyton Manning is a statue. He's always been, always has been, and always will be. He doesn't move in the pocket, but to me, Peyton Manning more than anyone in the game. And I mean this out of respect to Tom Brady. There's not a shot at Tom Brady. I think Peyton Manning was the most cerebral quarterback ever to play the game in terms of he brought an offensive mind to the position that no one had ever seen, and we probably will never see again because he was the offense. He was the offensive coordinator. He literally ran that offense wherever he went, Indianapolis and Denver. And I think that brings a lot more than people that don't know how to break down film and analyze games. That brings a lot more than they initially can see. Because Peyton Manning, I think Tom Brady does it at a very high level too. So again, not a slight at Tom Brady because he is like right up there with Peyton. I just think that Peyton did a little bit more, like a tad bit more. So, but I mean like Peyton Manning did stuff at the line, tons of stuff with in terms of analyzing and breaking down defenses during game and in the film room that we may never ever see again, and that kind of stuff like is you can't it's hard to measure that. So those I personally would have rather had Peyton. I personally would, and that's me being totally honest. I personally would have had Peyton.
And again, this is, and I understand what you're saying, but this is not. I'm not talking peak Peyton Manning. I'm talking about Peyton Manning during those 3 years, which one of them sucked, one of them was and one of them was good.
Oh, you're talking about just like, would I rather have that Peyton for 3 years or
yes,
that Andrew Luck for 7 years?
The Broncos Peyton Manning, the exact, the skill level, the age, what he brought to the table, or the Andrew Luck that during those 3 years. Because to me, it's not close because you're looking at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Andrew Luck was a superstar. Andrew Luck was an MVP candidate when he didn't have receivers, offensive line, defense, anything. Head coach.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning sucked 2 out of those 3 years, but he had one of the best, if not the best defense of all time, a very good offensive line, Demaryius freaking Thomas, and you had a running game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they both, while one of them won a Super Bowl, one of them got to 2 Super Bowls, the other one did not, Andrew Luck had them in the playoffs every year, on the doorstep, and just couldn't carry them any further, while also, frankly, being hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why if you look at it, and I understand we're talking about 2 scenarios that we'll never know. It's when wrestling fans say Big Show versus Andre the Giant, we'll never know it.
Yeah.
But when you look at what Andrew Luck is as a talent and what he didn't have to work with, and we look at the last 3 years of Peyton Manning, which was nothing close to peak Peyton Manning, and what he had to work with, if you put them in opposite situations, you can argue that in those 3 years, Andrew Luck has 3 Super Bowls, and Peyton Manning and the Colts don't make a single playoff series.
I get
what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. At the time, my stance was that, and I know that this wasn't a scenario that was necessarily an option because of Andrew. I think it was Andrew Luck's family, but my opinion was if I was the Colts, I would have kept Peyton Manning and drafted Andrew Luck and called it as it is. Let Andrew Luck develop just like Aaron Rodgers did behind Brett Favre. If like for a year or two, like if Andrew Luck wants to play soon, then keep Peyton Manning for another year. But I personally at the time didn't feel like you can't just cut bait with Peyton Manning right then and there and then just throw Luck into the fire. That was my stance, and I was saying keep both, have both. Keep Peyton Manning, draft Andrew Luck, let it be for a year or two, and then part ways with Peyton Manning.
Couldn't I argue though that because they got rid of Peyton Manning and they sucked for a year, that put them in the spot to get Andrew Luck?
Peyton Manning was hurt for the season. They went 1 or 2 wins, and then they were in that season when they were about to draft Andrew Luck with that first overall pick. That's when they let go of Peyton Manning.
All right.
Yeah, so they were in the position to have both.
They were. There's a lot of my computer died, so I can't see anyone. But they're flying over on Facebook. The comments.
Facebook.
Yeah, they're.
I know they were
flying.
going through a lot. Yeah. We always do this like that. We have like deep conversations and we forget about the chats.
Poor no huddle.
And the no huddle. I don't think I've had a no huddle for a long time.
No, we haven't had no huddle in a long time.
I know I like this one comment. Jeff Lohmeyer says, Payton set the bar unrealistically high in Indianapolis. Anything anyone after him doesn't result in a Super Bowl is a failure in their eyes. Get healthy and enjoy your life, and Andrew.
Spot on.
Yeah. There were a few, like Clay had a good few comments about how in support of Luck. He said NFL teams deal with losing players for entire seasons every year. That excuse is BS. And I think it went back to what I was talking about. Ralph chimed in. He came in and just talked about Clowney, but Ralph, I don't want to hear it.
All right.
Just what else? Sorry. Bill Middlebrook says he'll probably come back next year on another team. LOL, that would be news. He's gonna carry on. We'll see. I doubt that'll happen.
We can't put ourselves in those.
Clay says the Colts failed Andrew Luck, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Nicholas John Park says, dude, we obviously know that moving on from Peyton at the time was the right call for the Colts. Why just even debated? Because Luck only lasted 7 seasons. The Colts would have been much worse without Andrew Luck being there the past 7 years. Why is it debated? Because I like bringing up topics of discussion. That's why it's debated. That's why we're here. If we don't talk about anything, then, yeah. Because not to mention the GM situation was part of the problem. All in the head was one of the influences behind Luck being burned out with the organization. Like I said about Andrew, best of luck to him and his future endeavors. And that I think we all are in agreement at least that the Colts, Ryan Grigson was a huge reason why Luck was banged up as he was.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter deep down what the true, reason was. It's none of our freaking business. It's not. If it was because he was tired of the organization, if he was tired of football, if he was hurt, it doesn't freaking matter. It's not my business. You understand? Like who are we to analyze? Oh, Andrew, you have to tell us what the real reason. Why? You understand? Like what?
Yeah. Bill says, "Hey, anybody in the chat want to talk Eagles? I'll start. Does anybody think that Nelson get traded, or how about how much do we use Sanders, etc.? I'm open for discussion." He also said, "Is this birds of a feather or the autobiography of Luck?" LMFAO. Hey, we talk all NFL here.
Bill, I mean, the Andrew Luck story is one of the biggest stories of the last 10 years. Bill.
Yes, Bill. Before we get to that, 5 minutes. So that's Andrew Luck stuff. Good stuff. Good topics. Before we get to that in the last 5 minutes, let's just talk quickly. Lamar Miller injury. What does that mean for the Texans? What should they do? Fantasy wise, what do you think? Go, Kevin, go.
I think Ajayi ends up going there.
Ajayi.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
I thought it made sense before the injury.
Yeah.
I don't think they really have nothing else going on for them other outside of DeAndre Hopkins and
Duke Johnson is a very good running back, but I don't think he's a feature lead back 15 to 20 touch running back.
All he does is catch passes.
I would switch it up a little bit, the verbiage there. I would say he's a very good receiver who happens to be able to run the ball too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a feature back like Ajayi would be for them. I think that especially with the Luck outcome, knowing that the division is more open now than what it would have been if Luck was still playing, I think they go out and get him. That's just my opinion. It's got to get done. It's something that you can't really avoid anymore as far as a desperate need with the big money guys sitting on vacation out there.
Yeah. It's hard. People are picking the Texans to win the division and everything. Like for me, I'm a big Watson believer, but it's really hard for me to see again for another year that offensive line not being upgraded, and then the running back situation looking almost worse than the Eagles from last year. Like they have Duke Johnson and who? Karan Higdon.
People have been picking the Texans to win the division for the past 5 years.
Yeah,
as soon as they have JJ and a glimpse of a good defense, when they brought in Mayo to stuff up the middle of the line, they were projected to win the division. But newsflash, you got to play both sides of the ball.
You do. You do.
Look at the Broncos. Back to what we were saying with Peyton Manning. You have to have some sort of quarterback, even with the best defensive scheme in the past 10 years, 20 years, maybe ever. You still have to have some sort of offense to put up numbers on the board.
You do. It's a team sport. It's a team, and we hinted at that. Andrew Luck was a generational type of talent in Indy, and because they didn't give him enough support or help, he has no Super Bowls.
I do, and like we'll talk about this tomorrow. We'll give our season predictions tomorrow on the show. But like, if you don't have an offensive line, I can't be serious about picking you to win anything.
I know. Yeah, I'm the same.
And then on the flip side, how many games is honestly JJAW going to stay healthy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, it all points to it, and I think it's stupid when people predict injuries. It's the dumbest thing anyone can ever do. But it's written on the wall, okay, if the Texans don't have, other than Hopkins, many receiving options, the running back situation sucks. If the O-line situation sucks, that all points to, oh, my God, is he going to be able to stay healthy, Deshaun Watson? So to me, like, first off, I think that division stinks now. Like, it's what, like Clay said earlier, like, the division's wide open. Hell, the freaking Titans might win it at 9-7.
I like the Jags still, but
Oh, God.
I like the Jags.
Really?
I do. Well, if you're talking about like at any team,
With what record?
like probably like 9, 7, 10, and 6.
Okay, I was going to say. All
I
right.
think 9 wins. Jags
Yeah. I wasn't
That's
saying
the only shot.
I wasn't saying
yeah.
they're going to be a 12, 13 win. I'm just saying like to win the division, I like the Jags.
Not because I'm a Nick Foles hater, but it's just like
yeah,
there's
they still
nothing-
have weaknesses.
It's by
their
default.
defense is great.
Yeah,
by
they-
default.
Yeah, but they're missing dynamic weapon at running back. They don't have a number one type of talent at wide receiver.
And Nick Foles is what he is,
is
what's
what he
around
is.
him.
Yeah.
Well, he's a subject of what's around him. And
Exactly.
if he goes from Philadelphia, who had, superstars everywhere, to Jags, I'm not trying, like Clay, if you're getting mad at, like, I'm not trying to disrespect the Jags, but it's like, it's a step,
They still
it's
have
a
issues,
step
yeah.
down. It's a step
I mean,
down.
John DiFilippo didn't really show anything in Minnesota,
No.
and he's their offensive coordinator now. If he can show that he can do a lot better, then that might help them. But like they still have the problem. That's why I only say 9, 10 wins. But I still think that wins a division. Is what I'm saying.
The last thing I'll say really quick, and I heard this, and I don't know if there's any, realistic opportunity for this, but I heard it twice today. Twice. And it wasn't Twitter. I heard it. The possibility the Chiefs are looking for another corner, and they're saying there's rumors around the league sometime in the next week to where there could be a Tyreek Hill for Jalen Ramsey trade.
What?
I heard that twice today. And again, I have
Really?
no
I didn't
big
hear
time name to say.
Right.
If that happens, I mean that is upsetting for me because
You have Tyreek Hill?
I was most likely going to pick him this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So if I picked him and then he turns out he's on the Jags, I'm like, there he goes that one.
Fantasy wise, that would be good for me because I drafted Mecole Hardman.
Oh,
So I would be very happy because it's like, all right, Hardman's going to be the guy.
See,
but
the
I get
issue with that is you're trading two pieces that don't necessarily fit. If you get rid of Hill, who else you got that outside of Kelsey? That's a perfect fit. Having a big name there.
Mecole Hardman.
Come on.
No, I know he's a rookie though. He's a
Yeah,
rookie.
but
Though.
it's a
I get
little
it.
guy.
I get it. I get you. He's not that little.
He's a
but
little for NFL standards. He's a little guy.
Yeah, but
Little guy.
he's dynamic. He's that. No. But like, I don't think that makes sense for the Chiefs. If they're gonna have Tyreek Hill, keep Tyreek Hill. He's
Now, if
he's
they
an
still had
elite wide
Kareem Hunt,
receiver.
if they still had Kareem Hunt,
Yeah,
and a
that's
sound
another
run
situation
game.
with the Chiefs. Everyone's so high on Damian Williams. He's never played a full season as a starter in his life. What makes everyone think
Nope.
here's some fantasy advice for you. One, I am not as high on Damian Williams as everyone else. And if you're going to draft Damian Williams, you better as well draft Darwin Thompson because he's going to be the handcuff there. And two, stop drafting with so many snake drafts. Get into auction leagues because they are better than snake drafts. Stop being closed-minded. Auction leagues are the way to go.
I like
Let's
snake
wrap
drafts.
up.
Yeah,
Let's
what's
go.
wrong with the-
All
yeah,
right.
We have one
so,
this weekend. Chucks.
Get into auction
Yeah.
leagues, guys. I'm telling you, auction leagues are the way to go.
I don't
Peter
want
Evans, if you're still on the chat, you know what I'm talking about. Pete knows what I'm talking about. All right, guys. Well, it was a great first show back.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back. I miss talking sports. Next week, it's going to be a great show. You know what we got next week?
the beginning,
NFL
first day of the rest of
predictions.
our lives.
NFL prediction show. Hopefully, Chrome is in the seat so we can all give our NFL predictions.
It'll be the first time we're all back in the same
It'll
room.
be the first time. It's going to be, guys, all show, 2 hours, NFL predictions. It's going to be great. We'll do division winners, playoff makers, and awards. We'll predict all that all next week. So, guys, if you're listening still, definitely come back next week. We will be doing that, and I'm sure a lot of the other shows on A2D will be doing something similar.
Doing that tomorrow.
But we are Birds of a Feather. You know this is your number one stop for football stuff, so you want to come here. You want to tune in because we'll be here, and Chrome, hopefully, will be here too. So tune in next week. Guys, thank you for tuning in again this week. Our show, once again, from the Real Talk Studios, was brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant, and Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our poll question was brought to you by Scanzano Sports. Catch the fix. You guys have a show tomorrow, right?
Yep,
The Fix?
NFL predictions tomorrow.
NFL predictions tomorrow for the fix. Tomorrow, Hockey Happy Hour on Thursday. Philly Sports Guys on Friday. What was it? The Philly Sports Guys. The weekly roundup on Saturday. Is Agree to Disagree on Sunday?
Yes.
Did you have a show?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Agree to
sir.
Disagree. And then In This Very Ring. And then Sports Hounds on Monday. Did I miss anything?
AM and the PM tomorrow.
AM and the PM
and
is
lazy
tomorrow?
booking on
Okay.
Thursday.
Did I miss Lazy Booking?
It's all right. Listen,
Sorry.
you just came back.
It's-
You're-
I just came back. All right, I'm still on Fiji time. All right, guys. For me, myself, Chuck's your boy, Godwin, Kevin Godwin, and the bro, Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. One more week, guys. One more week till football. All right, we'll see you next week. Fly Eagles, fly.